If you are not working on your sleep, if you are trying to lose weight, especially, and you are not working on your sleep, it's going to work against you. Hello, friends, and welcome to the Honeycast. Today, I'm talking about the elusive topic, sleep, and just how important it is for those of us who are in midlife and beyond, and how it can actually keep us from losing weight. It is a very tricky thing to try to make yourself sleep when your body is fighting you on that. And in midlife, there's many reasons why we fall into sleep problems. The main reason I'm going to say is because of our declining hormones. So if you're like me and you wake up in 3 a.m. with your mind racing or thinking about all kinds of things, or maybe you just have, maybe you're hungry, maybe you have some energy. There are many things that could be going on. Sometimes we have a cortisol spike in the middle of the night. Sometimes we'll have a blood sugar drop in the middle of the evening. And sometimes it's just because we don't have our estrogen. Estrogen is either gone or walking out the door, and estrogen is a huge help in our sleep. And so while we can't really make ourselves go to sleep, there are a lot of things that we can do to support our sleep. But first, I want to help you understand why it is so important. So, because our hormones are declining in midlife, we end up having higher cortisol levels already. We end up, and higher cortisol levels can lead to excess belly fat. It can lead to breaking down of our muscle. And that's a huge problem because muscle is our main metabolism. Muscle is basically the amount of muscle you have is going to be related to how healthy your metabolism is. And as we age, we are losing muscle anywhere from 3 to 8% every decade after the age of 40. We start losing muscle in our 30s, but that usually, unless we are weight training or doing things that are keeping our muscle, along with weight training, would be having adequate protein, we're going to have some muscle loss. And so the lack of sleep and the muscle loss and the higher cortisol levels all contribute to weight gain, or one, not being able to lose weight. And so sleep is one of the number one things that we need to be working on, not just for weight loss, but overall metabolic health, hormone health, and brain health. The things that go on in our sleep and our deep sleep are very important. And so when we are lacking sleep, these are some of the things that happen when we are lacking sleep. One is we end up eating more the next day because we have higher cortisol levels, higher cravings, and it increases ghrelin levels. Our hunger hormones are called ghrelin and leptin. Ghrelin is my stomach is empty, and leptin is my stomach is full. And so they are going to be very important to make sure that we are regulating those so that we eat proper amounts. We know when we're full, we stop when we're full. And so when we're not sleeping, the ghrelin levels and leptin levels are both affected by lack of sleep. We also have studies have shown that there is a diminished fat loss in people that are not getting adequate sleep. Now, this study that I was looking at took two groups of people, actually women in midlife. And one group of women slept 8 hours, the other slept 6 hours. And in the 6-hour group, they both had the same amount of calories, but they both lost weight. But the women that were not sleeping lost muscle, and the women that were sleeping actually lost fat. We do not want to lose muscle. The more muscle we lose, the more wasting our muscles, or actually the more muscle that we lose, the less our metabolism works properly, and we're not going to be able to burn through the fuel that we give our bodies during the day. So we end up storing that as fat, and especially around our abdomen. And the reason for that is because when estrogen is diminishing, or when we don't have our hormones, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, but specifically estrogen, our fat distribution changes and changes from going to our upper body, our bottom, our legs, to around our abdomen. And so the lack of sleep really affects an increase in waist circumference, which also increases our risk for cardiovascular disease. The other thing that lack of sleep does is that it increases oxidative stress on our body. It increases insulin resistance, and all of that affects our metabolism and really the way that we feel. In working on your sleep, I do think that there is a place to really look at this as a journey. It's not something that you can just fix overnight. It may take a while. You may still not be where you want to be, even though you're doing all the things. And I would say this has pretty much been my story. I haven't slept well. So, I have 9 children, and I spent a lot of time up in the night nursing and toddlers and kids. And I also feel like that has sort of trained my body not to sleep as well. And then I hit perimenopause and then menopause when hormones are gone. That plays a part of that as well. And there are other factors that play into our sleep, but the ones that we can control are the ones that I like to focus on. So I will say I'm not where I want to be with my sleep, and I'm continuing to work on it. It's been a slow process, like years. I rarely get 4 hours, maybe 6 hours. So I really have to make sure I'm taking care of myself well, because when you don't get the sleep that you need, and this is a big part I haven't mentioned yet, you don't get the restoration. And when we are younger, in our 20s, 30s, even early 40s, we have a lot more resilience. We can do a lot more. We can actually burn the candle at both ends, which I don't recommend. And you can, most of the time, if you don't have any underlying issues, you can pop back up and keep going and be, super broad, Energizer bunny, whatever. But when we hit our menopause years, our resiliency goes down. And there's a lot of amazing things that we do get to experience in menopause, like having a lot of wisdom. And anyway, we'll do that. That will be another talk about the blessing of menopause. But what I want to say is, with that lack of sleep, there is a level of extra caretaking that needs to happen. And there is that level of, okay, mentally, I don't want to identify with, I just don't sleep, and I don't want to complain about it. But there's an acceptance, and this is what I'm working on now. And this is as good as it gets right now. And that's okay. And we're still going to work on the sleep. So I want to give you guys back to the recovery. The recovery is so necessary. Not only are we recovering, we are getting rejuvenated. There's cellular cleanup that's going on. We also produce testosterone and human growth hormone in our sleep, not to mention other hormones that really help with our mitochondria, which is our energy. It does help with overall well-being. It does help with metabolism. So not only are we impacting metabolism, but we are impacting our overall health. And that recovery is really important. So if you're not getting the proper amount of sleep, there may be a couple reasons. It may be that you're disregarding that it's that important and you're not working on it. Or it may be that you're doing all the things and you're still not sleeping, and anywhere in between. So if you are not working on your sleep, if you are trying to lose weight, especially, and you are not working on your sleep, it's going to work against you. I've had many clients that just say, I'm a night owl and I just stay up until 10, 11, 12. I get my best work done that time of the evening. And I want to say, you may feel like that's what you're doing. However, cortisol levels do go up. And it may be something that you've trained yourself in as well. So I suggest getting to bed before, and studies have shown this, getting to bed before 10 p.m. And if you're that night owl and you are up past 10, maybe start backing it up a half an hour. I did have a client, and she was doing that. She was working all day long, and then she was getting all kinds of stuff done at night, which I don't even know how she sustained that energy levels. There's just no way I could do that personally. However, she was not only not losing weight, but she was gaining weight. And so we got her on the Trim Healthy Mama plan, especially for women in midlife. There's just a special way that we're doing that in midlife. So we got her going on that. And then we started working on her sleep, and it took a good 6 months. It took a good 6 months before she backed up her sleep, and she was literally going to bed at 1 in the morning, and she backed it up to 11 o'clock at night. And she became consistent with that. And there was just some things that she had to let go of doing. She could not do all the things. And that was part of it too, is that she was not getting the recovery at all. She had too many plates spinning. And so after about 6 months with being on the plan, also working on her sleep, she began to lose weight again. Not to mention adding the strength training in really boosted her weight loss and just overall the way that she was feeling. So for those of us who are not really working on it or prioritizing it or feeling like it's important, I'm hoping that sharing with you today how it is very important for us to get our sleep for all the reasons I mentioned. It is a big part of your metabolism and having a healthy metabolism and longevity, anti-aging. It's very much a part of that. So if you are burning the candle at both ends, or maybe you're just a night owl and you're not really working on it and you're not feeling good or you're not seeing the results you want to, I would suggest starting to work on your sleep. Prioritize that. Those of you that are in the camp where I am, where you are really working on it and you're doing everything you can, I just want to say, don't give up. Keep working on it and keep having patience with yourself. I want to share some tools that I use. First of all, I do want to share some things. If you do not have a sleep routine, you want to have a sleep routine. Science shows that our circadian rhythm is important for proper sleep. And to get our circadian rhythm where it needs to be, in rhythm, in sync, there are certain things that need to happen. Very natural things that now in this day and age aren't happening as much because we have all of the blue light. We have so many things that interfere with a natural sleep process. So we want to get a sleep routine and we want to support our circadian rhythm. One of the best ways that you can support your circadian rhythm is to sleep in a dark room. And first thing in the morning when you get up, you open up curtains and you look at the light. If you can add some deep breathing at the same time, you are just getting oxygen to your brain and your body and helping yourself wake up, starting to produce cortisol, which we need cortisol, but we need adequate cortisol levels, not higher cortisol levels. So we use the light to help with our circadian rhythm. Same thing at night before bed. This is why it is recommended not to have light, blue light especially, 2 to 3 hours before bed. It interrupts our circadian rhythm. It interrupts our pineal gland. It interrupts melatonin production. And so we really want to avoid that type of light. It also is recommended for us to get outside. These are just natural, normal things that once we all did. But now we're in such a place where a lot of us are in front of computers and inside all day long, inside our temperature control house. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm very grateful for that. But we do need to get out and get short walks when we're in nature with no phone with you. No podcasts, no talking on the phone, actually grounding. And there is something about walking and looking at the sky and looking at the light and having nature around you that is very soothing and helpful really it helps your circadian rhythm, but it also is helpful for your rest and digest, your parasympathetic nervous system. So those are some things. If you're not doing those, then I would start there. That's a great place to start. Some other things that you just kind of want to use this as a checklist. And I wouldn't implement everything at one time because you don't know what is going to work. Maybe you implement one thing at a time and you give it weeks. You have to give it a few weeks. You cannot really see results overnight with sleep, of course, unless you're using some sleep aids or something like that, which I'm not against. However, we really want to work on that sleep routine. So one thing is we want to sleep in a cooler environment. We sleep much better, usually 65 degrees to 68 degrees. The cooler, the better. And it is helpful to get hot before you go to bed and then cool down. The cooling down actually helps your body start producing sleep hormones. So I love taking a hot bath, Epsom salt bath, and then cooling down and then jumping in my bamboo sheets, which I love. Now, I know some of you guys are using some grounding sheets, or maybe you're using cooling sheets, but my bamboo sheets are amazing. I will actually put the link in the show notes because I love them so much. They're so soft and they're so beautiful, and they are just my favorite. So the other thing is it's good to keep a diary, a sleep diary, so that you notice when you get more sleep, when you get less sleep. And we're going to take a look at things like what time you went to bed. Did you exercise that day? Maybe what you ate for dinner. I've had some clients say that when they have a carbohydrate with protein and veggies dinner, they sleep better. I've had some clients say when they have kefir at night, they sleep better. So we want to take a look at what are you actually doing? Your exercise can help you or harm you with your sleep. If you are doing higher intensity exercise in the afternoon or evening as a woman in midlife, then you are working against yourself. You're working against good sleep. You're working against actually the benefits of high intensity training, because it's better in midlife for us to do intense exercises earlier in the day when our cortisol levels are adequate, they're higher, and you have more energy, than later on in the day when cortisol levels are supposed to be dropping. And what can happen if you're doing that high intensity training in the evening time, you might be increasing cortisol levels, which is actually working against you in your exercise. It's breaking down your muscle. And it can cause belly fat gain as well. So we want to do more of our intense exercises. That would be anything that's breathless earlier in the day, and our less intense exercises in the afternoon. And maybe you can only strength train in the afternoon, which that wouldn't work against you too much. It's more of the going for a really long bike ride or jog after work, or a high intensity or sprint interval training in the evening time. It is not the best time to do that for your sleep and for weight loss as well. So keeping a journal can be very helpful. The other thing is utilizing sleep aids. I would suggest doing these one at a time. So melatonin can be very helpful for sleep. With melatonin, what I've learned is that it's best to take a time-release melatonin, that it's best to take it around dinner time. It's best to give your body a couple of weeks to get used to it. There's a lot of, I think, misinformation out there about melatonin. Melatonin is also helpful. It's anti-cancerous, and it is about finding your right dose. So starting with the smallest dose and maybe every 3-4 days upping your dose. How do you know if you get too much melatonin? Well, this is per my naturopath, but she says that when you start to get groggy or have strange dreams, that you want to back off on that melatonin. And so melatonin can be helpful. CBD can be helpful. There's many ways. There's the CBD gummies, there's the tinctures. CBD can be helpful. And I have tried the CBD with the Heavy Hitter. That's a Trim Healthy product, and it actually did help me for a while, but my sleep, like I said, gets really elusive. And if I do find something that works, sometimes it doesn't always last. So that did help me for a while. You can always try the CBD. You can also use sleep teas that are going to have herbs that help calm down. There's supplements out there that have GABA, L-theanine, and even amino acids. Amino acids can help with your sleep as well. So I've tried many products. Like I said, I try one thing at a time. I really try to use the whole bottle just to see if that's going to work. And I have a few recommendations, but it is finding what works for you, and it is being deductive about it. So the sleep aids can be very helpful. Even there's teas that will help you sleep. I've had some clients that it's just been a game changer for them when they have done these things. And I've had other clients that they're sort of like me, not as much. Lastly, I'll talk about hormone replacement therapy, and something that can be This is probably the biggest game changer for my clients because my clients are usually midlife and beyond, and we are working on optimizing hormones and thyroid. And one of the things that can be very helpful, and this is really good for any woman, I think any woman over 40 needs to be on progesterone. There is no risk to being on bioidentical progesterone. There's no risk to that. And it can only help you with the right dose. Progesterone can help you sleep. It's your calm down hormone. It is your feel good. And so if you haven't talked to your doctor about getting on progesterone and you are having sleep issues, I would suggest working with a practitioner. There's not really an over-counter progesterone that I have found that's strong enough, and I like working with the practitioner so that they can dose you appropriately and even test those progesterone levels just to make sure that you are where you need to be. For me, my practitioner started me out with 100 milligrams of progesterone, and we ended up working up to 400. So I actually take 400 in a troche style. There's different ways you can take it. For people that have sleep issues, progesterone in capsule form is usually best for sleep. If you're taking progesterone in a cream form, for whatever reason, it may not be best for sleep. It may be helpful to get those progesterone levels up, but it may not be helpful for sleep. So talk to your practitioner about that. So those are just some ideas and some things to really think about and work on. And like I said, it's best to do one thing at a time. And if you haven't gotten yourself a sleep routine, that's the first place that I would start, is just write down what your sleep routine is going to be. And next would be really working on the circadian rhythm by using light and nature and avoiding that blue light at night. And then lastly, if you are like where I am, I just sometimes have to have some patience with myself and realize, you know what, I'm just a little tired, and or take a rest during the day. Now, if I take too long of a nap, if my nap is past 20 minutes, it really is going to keep me up at night. But sometimes I need a little rest, and maybe I don't even fall asleep. A lot of times what I'll do is I will lay down and I will do a meditation. There's a couple apps that I really like, and I also like the tapping solution. That is something you can look up free on YouTube, but I have the app. And it just helps calm down your nervous system. The meditation is also very helpful for, same thing, your brain, and the deep breathing just helps your body relax and release. And when I'm doing that in the middle of the day, and I'm taking a break in the middle of the day, as I'm not getting sleep at night, I find that I can recover a little bit better. And then there's just some days where I'm just not recovering well at all. And those are the days I listen to my body, and it's restore before more exercise. If I am feeling so tired and so drained, I am not going to do a strength training workout. I am not going to do a high intensity workout. I'm probably not going to go play pickleball, although that one's kind of hard. I always love to play pickleball. But the exercises that I do on those restoration days are going to be my vibration plate, which I love, love, love. I'm going to link that in the notes, because if you have ailments, if you have injuries, it's a great workout for anybody that doesn't really have, maybe you have a shoulder issue, maybe you have knee issues. You can't really lift heavy weights right now. Even just for mobility, just for stretching, just standing on it does help your lymphatic system. It does help increase human growth hormone. It helps actually with weight loss. It makes your muscles work harder because you're on the vibration plate. So you are burning calories, and you can do a gentle workout on that vibration plate, even if you're super tired, and actually feel rejuvenated. So the vibration plate is a good one. The rebounder is another one. Just everyday walks, or even something more mild like yoga or Pilates, something gentle. Because if you are super duper tired, exhausted, and you are pushing yourself, same thing with cortisol. We're going to raise cortisol, and we're going to be working against ourselves. So we need a little bit more of that restoration time and recovery time. More is not better. And so my routine normally when I am feeling good is that I do strength training 2 to 3 times a week. Studies have shown, and this is from Flipping 50, this is who I'm certified with, studies have shown that really 2 times a week is adequate for building muscle for women in midlife and beyond. as long as you're lifting heavy and you're using your major muscle groups. The other thing I do is 2 hit or sit sessions per week. If I'm playing several days of pickleball, I bring that down to 1, because pickleball for me, I do a lot of sprinting, and I may just do 1 8-minute sprint interval training or hit interval training. And on the days where I'm super tired, I'm not doing those. I'm doing restoration exercises. All of this can be helpful for your sleep, for your weight loss, and just for your overall health and energy.